Okay, today we're going to look at our first sort of application of reduction formula. We're going to take the sine of 240 degrees, and without a calculator, we're going to work out what it is. And this is how you do it. I have a little shorthand for working things out. It's called WWS. And what you do is you go to where the angle is, and then you make a wedge, which is called the reference angle. And then you figure out the sine that we learned in the last video. We figure out, is it positive or is it negative? Well, let's get started. Let's try. Say the sine of 240 degrees. What you do to get started is you go to where it is. So you start at 0 degrees, you go counterclockwise 90, 180, and 240 degrees. It'd be right there, right about there, 240 degrees. You haven't hit 270 yet. You've gone past 180. You must be in the third quadrant. Okay. Now your problem is you've got to figure out what this wedge is here, right here. Well, you went from 180 to 240. If you just subtract these, you'll get 240 minus 180. That's how I got 60 degrees. So this sine of 240 is really exactly the same. It would be the same triangle as the sine of 60 degrees. Well, that's pretty good. In fact, we can write down that first part. It's the sine of 60 degrees. But we haven't finished yet because it'll equal this fraction, but we don't know what the sine is. And that's what we did in the last video. We figured out that in this quadrant, sine would be negative because using this all stations to Cape Town or all students take calculus, sine is positive in the second quadrant and the first quadrant, but it's negative down in the third and the fourth. So we know it's negative. So we know that sine of 240 degrees is equal to minus sine 60 degrees. Well, they give you a mark just for figuring that out. Going to where it is, getting the wedge, the reference angle, and then getting the sine. So your next part now is, because we have to do this without a calculator, is we've got to figure out what the sine of 60 degrees is. Well, you've got to make this triangle right here, your special triangle, and it just goes 60, 30, 90 degrees, and 1, 2, root 3. Sort of good to memorize that. And let's go to 60 degrees. Opposite is root 3. 2 is hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. So the answer is root 3 over 2. But hey, we know it's negative. So the answer for the sine of 240 degrees is negative root 3 over 2. And that's kind of the fundamental way that you reduce angles. And you reduce them and figure out what they are, using all stations to Cape Town to find the sine, using special angle on triangles if they tell you to do it without a calculator. So I guess that's about it. So all done.